So that's a playful playing of my drum, because tonight's Sovereign Earth is all about play. And we talk about playing a drum or a musical instrument. One of many aspects of play that we will skim through at one level, but dive a bit deeper at another. So yeah, there's a proverb, isn't there? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. We kind of maybe know that one. There's the story of the scientist, the philosopher, and the poet who go to a pub. If you don't know what a pub is in your land, a restaurant or a cafe, they go and have a chat, the scientist, philosopher, and the poet. And they can't agree on anything until they do agree on one thing: the power of play. And that's an illustration of how play cuts through all boundaries and barriers and is a universal, effervescent unfolding and flowering of our humanity. So let's have a song just to settle in. Welcome everyone. I see some of you joining, and it's beautiful to be with you again. So whatever's going on in the outside world, and there's plenty of that, we let all that drop away and we come into a place of playfulness tempered with prayerfulness, but predominantly playfulness tonight. Every breath is sacred, every breath is pure. Every breath is sacred, every breath is pure. When I see with eyes of love, when I hear with ears of love, when I hold with arms of love, every breath is sacred, every breath is pure. Every breath is sacred, every breath is pure. When I see with eyes of love, when I hear with ears of love, when I hold with arms of love, everything is sacred, everything is pure. And part of the reason I chose that song is because it reminds me of children in their playful place. They're embodying love through their play. Every breath is sacred. Every breath is pure. They see with eyes of love. They hear with ears of love, and they hold with arms of love. I think that's a child's natural place until it's somehow often knocked out of them. Sadly, but not for us in this time now. This is about the power of play. Prayerfulness and playfulness. I often use that term in my work, prayerfulness and playfulness. So prayerfulness without playfulness is kind of barren. And all playfulness without prayerfulness is over frivolous and sterile ultimately. Both of them need each other to potentize and fertilize their true nature. Prayerfulness is better for playfulness, and playfulness is better with a touch of reverence, a touch of respect. Now, there's a saying, yeah, Rabindranath Tagore. I see if I got it here. Tagore, as some of you will know, is one of my favourite poets, Rabindranath Tagore. He said, "From the solemn gloom of the temple, children run out to sit in the dust." From the solemn gloom of the temple, children run out to sit in the dust. God watches them play and forgets the priest. There's some wisdom in that. And I think that prayerfulness, well, play and playfulness are the gateways and part of the process of leading to wisdom and to grace. And we'll see how that works more fully as we go through this evening. It's worth saying, actually, that Sovereign Earth, I'm on episode 52, Sovereign Earth is born of the vision that nature will be held as being sacred once again by humanity. For humanity to hold nature as being sacred. There's a simple wish, isn't it? Profound. And each of these are beads on a mala, on a rosary, on a necklace. Each episode is a contribution towards that vision. Okay. So play is essentially and intrinsically of itself, for itself. It's not for anybody else's sake, it's for its own sake. It's not beholden to anyone. Play is born in spontaneity. It's a place of allowing. It's a revolutionary act. I think play is revolutionary. It's not beholden. What did I put? It pays no subservience to convention, I wrote. Play pays no subservience to convention. It's unconventional. It's spontaneous in the moment, frivolous, joyous, juvenile. We often say play is juvenile, but what's wrong with that? So in schools, let me find that. Play has been squeezed out of early years. It's been squeezed out of early years education because it's regarded as being superficial, it can't be measured. It's a downward extension of schooling that we've entered into in our education system, where play is dismissed as being somehow irrelevant. And it couldn't be more the opposite of that. Yeah, this thing about play is juvenile. Okay, let me be juvenile for a moment. I used to, before COVID, I used to cough to cover my farts. But in the time of COVID, I fart to cover my cough. Because for many years I've had a persistent cough, and it freaks people these days. Play is a sign of good health. Play is a sign of good health. So we see it in children. But I think one of the best embodiments of this for me, otters. We know how playful, well, maybe you don't, but otters are very playful species. They're also very fierce, but they have a great sense of play, gamboling together in the water. But what they found when they study otters is they'll play much more when they are at ease and at peace and when there's plentiful food. And when they're stressed and there isn't so much food, they don't play as much. So play is an expression of health and an expression of joyousness. We all know this from our childhood, perhaps, and I'll get on to what happens in older age and how we can reconnect with it. Play for its own sake, not for anything, nobody else. But they've shown in studies of the brain that what the area that is affected most by play is the prefrontal cortex. And it's about planning and being able to strategize and emotions as well. Play evokes good health. Play is essential for our development. Without play, we can't flower as beings. And here we are, driving down play in our schooling. Why? If we do the opposite, we get great benefits. So I want to just share with you something that I experienced some years ago as an expression of this beautiful spontaneity and childhood magic in relation to play, and how it's the fount of creativity and beauty. So this must be 20 years ago, no more, 30 years ago now. I knew a woman called Anya. She's dead now. We were part of a healing group, a healing circle. And she described to me one evening with a couple of other people. She described her childhood. She was from Denmark. And she described how she was sat around the breakfast table with her mum and dad and her sisters, I think, and maybe a brother. Her family. She was around the breakfast table, and for breakfast they had orange segments, and they used to eat the orange, and then the segments were lying on the table. And she started playing with them, like children do. And her father picked up on that, and he started building a structure with the orange segments, the quarters. And he turned out to be, from that idea, he designed the Sydney Opera House. I mean, that sounds grand, but this is what I was told, and it's borne out by the fact. He was a Danish architect. He designed the Sydney Opera House. And you all know what the Sydney Opera House looks like. It came from those oranges on the breakfast table and child's play. Magical expression of life and creativity. So let's have another song. Sing with me, the air is full of music. Dance with me, the air is full of the earth is full of life. Flow with me, the water's full of feeling. Shine with me, the fire is burning bright. Come friends, come loved ones, come strangers, come all. Come friends, come loved ones, come strangers, come all. Sing with me, the air is full of music. Dance with me, the earth is full of life. Flow with me, the water's full of feeling. Shine with me, the fire is burning bright. Come friends, come loved ones, come strangers, come all. Come friends, come loved ones, come strangers, come all. Once more, maybe you can join in. Sing with me, the air is full of music. Dance with me, the earth is full of life. Flow with me, the water's full of feeling. Shine with me, the fire is burning bright. Come friends, come loved ones, come strangers, come all. Come friends, come loved ones, come strangers, come all. So just in the moment, just that is both prayerful and playful, I think. Prayer and play embodied in that sound and that action. So there's a fair degree of spontaneity in this broadcast, as you can see. Let's see where it takes us. So I want to give you a few examples of just immediacy in my own life of play. Now, as we know, play tends to fade with age, and I want to come on to that in more detail. But I want to give you a few examples of the privilege I share with having children in my life that help keep me young and wear me out at times. So I've got 6 grandsons, and this afternoon I was babysitting the youngest of them for my son and his wife. He's 4.5 months old. Play for him this afternoon was me making silly faces or whatever, just being silly, being silly, letting go of any pretensions or falsehoods or masks, and being me, making silly noises, tickling him, making silly faces. That's easy. And kids respond to that. They kind of know. They love that authenticity and that joy. So that was him. He also had a good screaming fit, but he slept a bit later. But that's part of the whole picture. That was this afternoon. Yesterday I was blessed with my youngest daughter here with two of her sons. One of them's 1 and one of them's 3. So the 1-year-old, he came into this room and the first thing he went to was this bowl, which for me is kind of a sacred spot. But he showed me and reminded me, it's a play pit, it's a sand pit. He was playing in the sand, building little structures, sand everywhere. But that's the beauty of a child. They remind us of players all around. Sand is play. It's also a beautiful centerpiece for these occasions. His brother, so that was Jesse. And then there was Will, 3-year-old. We went out in the garden. We went down to the stream. He was improvising fishing rods. From nothing, just sticks, long sticks from the tree that had fallen, and we were improvising with catching fish and then sharks, and the imagination of children is incredible. Leaves falling was kind of magic, and drops of water falling in the stream was like, oh, there's creatures in there, and just playful, and falling leaves. He was collecting all the leaves. His favourite is hazel, but he also loves alder and willow and sycamore, but he had so many hazel leaves because they're golden. I think they called to him. And then just a few days ago, the other 3 sons, the 3 grandsons, my middle daughter, they love the game of Monsters. I started this game with my own children from the firstborn, my son, and now I'm doing it for my grandchildren. It's carried on. I did it for my firstborn, then my second and third and fourth children, and then these things spill on. I suppose that's what grandfathers are for. Play to help bring forth the playfulness in the children. So we play this game of Monsters, and the boys. So how old are they? 1, 3, and 5, something like that, or 1, 4, and 5. They're young boys. They're full of energy. They find a den. They say, this is our den, and I have to catch them when they're out of it, and then pretend to try and get my knife and fork to go and eat them up. But they run away in the meantime, and then have to chase them. I'm not quite so fast as I used to be, by any means. But they have a whale of a time, and so do I. It's very life affirming. And I'll just share with you, in the silliness of there's a song I sang for each of them, again made up. So the youngest is Joseph. Joseph, 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 aren't you sweet? Joseph, 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 you're a treat. You are lovely, you are special. Joseph, 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 aren't you great? So that's been sung to all my children. That it's easily adapted. It's for you tonight, whoever's there, the child in you. Now there's what the children are embodying. There's a quote here that goes with, if I can find it. Yeah, this is relevant to child's play. If mindfulness is being in love with the present moment, if mindfulness is being in love with the present moment, then play is the most fun access point to that state. Play is the most fun access point to that state. And a few weeks ago, I was fortunate to be part of it was a Zoom call, as it happened, with a lot of men reflecting on play in their lives, particularly what had their mothers given them playful wise, and what had their fathers given playful wise. You might, outside this program later, reflect on what qualities or not. What play did you have in your childhood, and what did your parents each embody What was from the mother, what was from the father. But when I came back from that, when I came out of that sort of playful discussion, I went over to my 3 grandsons then at that time, and they're fortunate, they have space there, and there's hills. And we went out, and I consciously thought, I want to play more. We went out, and there's well, it's not that steep, but it's steep enough for an old fella like me. There was a hill, and I went to the top, lay down, and rolled down. You know how you do. I rolled down the hill. And they came and joined me, and we had a whale of a time. They were rolling over me and around me, and yeah, play opens up gateways to the heart. I just want to touch on animal play. It's funny because a lot of psychologists and scientists in the past, particularly, and even more contemporaneously, they suggest that animals don't play. That was the case for a long time. They said that it was unique to humans somehow. I don't think we can be more wrong. We know what kitten. Anyone who's seen a young kitten, we've got a kitten. Fleur and Amy and Toby have got a kitten. Actually, to help relieve the anxiety of the times, you could say. But the kitten is so full of play, running around, leaping, jumping crazily, spontaneously, and pretending that, a little thing on the end of a string is a mouse, and so it runs around, plays for literally hours. And it's a joy to behold and to be part of. So that's kittens. We also know it, dolphins. Dolphins, I was privileged in the summer to have a pod of dolphins around the boat I was on. Dolphins are playful. They're at the front of the boat. They feel the pressure wave. They jump in and out of the water for play. You can feel it in their energies. It's playful. I think all animals play. Monkeys clearly play. Can be, we say, don't we, to our children, you're a right monkey. But the other one I just want to share with you is a few years ago, Fleur and I were out, and I think in Cornwall, and we noticed these corvids, crows or ravens, doesn't matter. They were sliding down a board. They were walking up this ramp, getting round the back, and there was a board down from a roof, and they were using it as a slide. It couldn't have been a more obvious expression of playfulness. They were skiing, improvised skiing, birds. And they did this several times. It was hilarious. And you can't tell me that birds and animals don't play. They do. Here's this quote from Wittgenstein. And he said, if people did not sometimes do silly things, nothing intelligent would ever get done. If people did not sometimes do silly things, nothing intelligent would ever get done. I think we know that. So the suggestion is, and certainly in this context of examining play, that imagination is more important than knowledge. I think that's true. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. Whoever wants to understand much must first play much. I think I put that as a quote in the lead up to this program. Whosoever wants to understand much must first play much. These are reminders to myself every time I do a program, but it's worth clocking and sharing all this. Play is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Play is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And that's particularly poignant and relevant in this time of social isolation. It's the antidote to social isolation. Play sharpens our talent for empathy and collaboration. And so, if we're closeted away, as many of us will be through in this unusual time, there's still scope for play. It's still opening the mind and the heart and the imagination to play. I mean, you can do it over this medium. I'm sure we can do it if we're lucky and fortunate to have enough to have people around us to remember the importance of play. And actually, even if you're on your own, if I'm on my own, I can still be playful. Plato, I mean, this is great. Plato, the philosopher, the ancient Greek philosopher. I love the fact he's got play in his name. Have you noticed that? Plato? I love plays on words, as some of you will know. Plato said life must be lived as play. Life must be lived as play. And I think it was Einstein, I'm not sure about this quote. Play's the only way to the highest intelligence of humankind. Play is the only way the highest intelligence of humankind can unfold. That's really worth thinking about. Play is the only way the highest intelligence of humankind can unfold. And I think a lot of his insight into great mysteries and science and mathematics came from his playful view and experience of the world and engagement with the world. It's interesting. I'm fortunate to be part of a men's mentoring for teenage boys. So we get half a dozen maybe sometimes 2, 3, sometimes 10, 11 boys. Then except they're not boys, they're boys in between boys and men. They're in that teenage years, 14 to 18, typically. Sometimes a little bit younger, sometimes older. But we try to embody play in the process. So we have some really powerful, deep sharing sessions, but they're framed in playfulness. And playfulness has this great capacity to break down barriers and masks and to connect, to team work. And if we play frisbee on the light evenings, it breaks down these barriers. It's fun and we laugh. And then we go deep. Prayerfulness and playfulness. And there's some wonderful expressions. Light playing on water. Yeah, the light plays on the water. So it's playing on the water when we watch the light. And there's the whole thing about playing an instrument. We play an instrument. We play a piano or a guitar. And it's shown that play, I talked about play changing the brain, but that goes on through life. Playing the piano, playing a musical instrument, play enhances our capacity for relationship, for healthy life, and for a more fulsome existence. So I know I'm reminding us all of what we already know at one level, and yet it helps me come to a more finely tuned awareness of the need for play in life and its benefits. So I'm going to sing a song playfully. I thank Nimue Brown for this. Nimue, I haven't seen her for a while, who's of this parish. She wrote this. It talks about the Arwen, and some of you who are watching and listening will understand what I'm talking about with the Arwen, and many of you will think, what on earth is he on about? Arwen is an ancient word of these lands, from the old, well, it's Welsh now, what we call the old Brythonic language. Arwen means, Ar is breath and Wen is sacred or holy. Holy breath, Arwen, but it's about the inspiration, flowing spirit. It's all about play in a way. It's about bardic expression, about the arts, poetry, music, plays. The play, theatre. We talk about plays in the theatre. This is all play, play, play. All around us. How important it is to play. So here's a song about that. 3 drops, fire in my head. 3 drops, fire in my head. 3 drops, fire in my head. 3 drops of inspiration. Into the forest, fire in my head. Into the forest, fire in my head. Into the forest, fire in my head. 3 drops fire in my head, 3 drops, fire in my head, 3 drops of inspiration. Salmon in the well, fire in my head, salmon in the well, fire in my head, salmon in the well, fire in my head, 3 drops of inspiration, 3 drops, fire in my head, oh yeah, 3 drops, fire in my head, 3 drops, fire in my head, 3 drops of inspiration. Drink from Play's cauldron, fire in my head. Drink from Play's cauldron, fire in my head. Drink from Play's cauldron, fire in my head. 3 drops of inspiration. 3 drops, fire in my head. 3 drops, fire in my head. 3 drops, fire in my head. 3 drops of inspiration. Woo! Drink from Play's cauldron. It's there for us, waiting for us. So let's just take time out to share an experiential little exercise to connect in with this in a playful way. Just let me have a drink of water. So I invite us to close our eyes. And we're going to go on a journey to connect a little bit more with our playful nature, our playful side. So taking a deep breath into your body, relaxing fully into your body with a second breath. And a third breath, because there's a magic in the power of 3. So, relaxed and in your body, in your mind's eye, I invite us to travel together through a forest, a path through a forest. We're barefoot, playful barefoot, skipping through the forest. Doesn't matter how old I am or you are. We can skip, a little skip, and then we walk again. Yeah, feeling the joy of the forest, the joy of being alive. Smelling the scent of the forest. Let's say why shouldn't it be summer in our mind's eye? There's plenty of flowers. It's a warm, sunny day. And the forest is alive with the call of birdsong. And the breeze blowing through the trees and on the skin. And the birds, you see them playing as they flutter along, a few birds in a group playing together. Sparrows, perhaps. Something like that. And you walk along the path barefoot and light-footed, lightness of being, and come to an opening, a clearing in the forest, and there's a large circle of trees. I call this a grove. Some of you might be familiar with this. A grove, a large grove of trees. A circle of trees holding space, sacred space, beautiful space. It's also playful space. And this day, as you look into the centre of the circle and around, within the circle, there are a host of children playing. They're almost oblivious to you. They're just playing in the way young children do. It's a playground. There's various swings and seesaws and roundabouts. And the kids are just squealing and running around and playing tag. And you just take this in, this joyful picture of childhood play. And then one of the children comes up and takes your hand playfully and leads you to a seesaw. And you sit on one end and them on the other. And as you look at them, you come to an awareness that it's your young self. It's your inner child. It's the child you were when you were that age. But it still lives on in you. There they sit at the other end of the seesaw. Of course, because you're likely much heavier than them, they're high up and you're low down. But you ease off the seesaw and allow a couple of their friends to get on. So there's probably 3 of them to 1 of you in terms of weight. And you enjoy being on the seesaw with your younger self and their friends. And there's a beauty and a spontaneity and no frills, just being in play. Then you stop on the seesaw and your younger child self leads you to the swings. You get on one swing, they get on another, and you swing, laughing and giggling and looking at each other with a sparkle in your eye. You just enjoy being on the swing for a few moments. Then you get off the swing and you both go over to a roundabout where there are several children on the roundabout. You jump on, you can hold on and it spins around and you can push it a bit faster with your foot. And you squeal and laugh just like children do as you spin around on the roundabout. Can you remember what it was like to do this? How many years is it since you last did something like this? How many days? How many months? How many years? Maybe not long ago. Maybe it was a long time ago. But you enjoy it in this moment. And then finally, you're led over to a slope, a hill, and you go to the top. And you lie down horizontal on the hill and you roll down the hill. You roll down the hill like a sausage. And you get to the bottom with your eyes closed. Just full of life, full of energy, buzzing. And you open your eyes and the children have gone. They've gone in the apparent world, but they live on in your heart, in your being. And you get up from the floor, from the grass, and you just enjoy the moment. And you walk back. You give thanks to the grove and that space before you walk back. With your bare feet, full of life, full of lightness, full of joy, full of ease. And you bring yourself back into this space in front of your screen, in wherever you are, in whichever space you're in. And you feel yourself sitting or standing or whatever. And I welcome you back to this space. I welcome myself back with it. So yes, there's a real wisdom in play. Now the other thing that's worth saying is play. This is really poignant as well. Play is done for its own sake, as I said, for love. And pure play isn't done for any reward, no material gain, no profit. It just is. And we tend to call that amateur. And amar is love in Latin. It's done for love, amar. But of course, when play becomes professional and it's paid, football, rugby, cricket, so many, many things that were once play and still are taught, we're playing a game. But they lose some of that, they lose a lot of that essential energy of play. Maybe the best footballers or the best rugby players or whatever sport you care to talk about, they're the ones who can still connect most readily with that playfulness, with that spontaneity and with that creativity. Because if that sense of true playfulness goes, then what is the game? So, I want to... Nietzsche, if I can find it. Yeah, what did he say? Nietzsche said, "A person's maturity consists in having found again the seriousness one had as a child at play." I'm going to read that again. A person's maturity consists in having found once again the seriousness one had as a child at play. Mark Twain. What work I have done it because it was play. If it had been work, I shouldn't have done it. What work I've done because it has been play. If it had been work, I shouldn't have done it. And Shakespeare, of course, he's very much in tune with this whole thread and stream. I think this is from As You Like It, the play. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. I'm adapting it slightly. This isn't him literally word for word. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man or woman in their time plays many parts. And there's the invitation for each of us to play these many parts in life, to play. We talk of playing a part in a play. So I want to end with a quote from George Bernard Shaw. We don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. We don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. So there we are, an excursion in the field of play. And I invite us all to explore our field of play as we go through life. Me as much as you, as much as, the invitation is always there. Find the playfulness in life. And this whole difficult time, this tricky place to navigate, will become much lighter and much fresher, much less serious. There is playfulness to be found even in these somewhat darkened times. We walk this land heart to heart, hand in hand. We sing our song, to the earth we belong. I'll sing it twice more. I invite you to join in. We walk this land heart to heart, hand in hand. We sing our song, to the earth we belong. We walk this land heart to heart, hand in hand. We sing our song, To the earth we belong. Next Sovereign Earth in 2 weeks' time, not next Tuesday, the Tuesday after. There'll be, as usual, on Friday an Earth service. Every Friday, Earth service, songs and meditation offered to the earth for healing. So I blow out this candle, sending playfulness along with the prayerfulness, predominantly playfulness this night. A smile, a twinkle in the eye, lightness of the heart, and light playing on the water. Love and blessings to all, everyone, for the greater good. Bye-bye.